Hello, my name is Jill McCormick, and I am one of the school counselors here at West Shore Middle School.
Hi, I'm Christina Levine, another school counselor here at West Shore, and today we wanted to talk to you all about how to recognize stress in your child, especially with the holidays coming up, and as we're still in the middle of the pandemic, we wanted to review first how to recognize that stress, second, the steps that you can take to help your child, and third, when to engage others for help.
Christina and I are both school counselors here at West Shore Middle School, but no matter what level your child is at, it could be elementary, middle, or high school, there are school counselors at every building. As a role of a school counselor, we are helping students explore careers that match their interests and skills, creating a safe school environment for all, talking to students about their problems at school and personally at home, facilitating small groups, and teaching lessons on a variety of academic, career, and social-emotional topics. Please know that school counselors are here to build a partnership between the students, the parents, and the school, and we want to make sure that we are helping your child be successful when they leave Milford Public Schools.
So what does stress look like in your child? We're first going to review the physical signs of stress. So these can include blurred vision, flushed cheeks, dry mouth, shaky hands, sweaty feet, headache, echoing sounds, so something similar to clogged ears, sweaty palms, shortness of breath, heart pounding, stomach ache, and stiff legs. We often see kids who are stressed or anxious come up to our offices saying that they have a stomach ache. There's also other signs, including trouble sleeping, fatigue, change in appetite, so either eating significantly more or significantly less, and dizziness.
The general symptoms of stress include educational problems, so that can be dropping of grades. So if you notice that a grade that they used to normally be really strong at, like language arts, they normally drop in, that would be a sign of concern. Or maybe your child is obsessing over their grades, checking PowerSchool constantly, and really stressing over how they can get that A+. Increasing irritability, so this could be at home or in school. Changes in socialization, so not wanting to be around the same group of students that they normally do like to be with, and isolating themselves from others. Negative changes in behavior, so lashing out on parents or teachers, and a change in their attitude. Difficulty concentrating, so if you hear your child saying, I'm really having a hard time focusing in the classroom, or even when I'm talking to you at home, I feel like my mind is wandering elsewhere, that would be a sign of concern. Negative self-talk, so an example would be if you hear your child saying, I'm a failure, and being really hard on themselves. That would be signs of negative self-talk. And a general sense of worry, so focusing on, the what ifs. That's really something that we focus on a lot in counseling, is that students are really looking to the future more instead of living in the present and the here and now. And that will cause an area of stress for them.
So next we're going to start talking about coping with stress and positive coping skills versus negative coping strategies. So first, what is coping? So to cope is to effectively deal with a difficult situation. It's what you do to manage the stress that you are already feeling. So everyone at the different school levels has learned different coping skills. So one student may be really excellent at coping, whereas another might need a little more help and support. So here are some positive coping strategies for stress. So these include exercise, so students can go for a walk or go for a run, listening to music, drawing or writing in their journal. Laughing is always great medicine. They could do yoga, meditation, just relax. Some kids often say they just need to close their eyes for 20 minutes to feel better. Getting enough sleep is really important. Kids should be getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep, at least in the middle school level. Deep breathing. I love this method of 4-square breathing, which is where you breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, and hold it for 4 seconds. It helps calm our central nervous system down. Getting organized. So this can be making a to-do list for their upcoming assignments so that they know what to do and when they need to do it. And then asking for help and talking to someone. We also find that asking your child what helps them is helpful too. So if you ask them, what would help you feel less stressed right now or less anxious? Like, what would calm you down? And they can give you some ideas and encourage them to do that.
Now that we've covered the positive coping strategies, there are some negative coping skills that sometimes students rely on, and we want to make sure that we encourage students to use positive coping skills instead of these negative skills. Some of the negative coping skills may include substance abuse, smoking, fighting, overreacting. So we could see that being like something as overreacting to a small problem in a big way. Negative thoughts. So this is when you would want to encourage your child to use a growth mindset and flipping the narrative to be more positive. When all their thoughts seem to be negative, that's when you really want to step in. Self-harm, cutting, burning, or picking. In these cases, when a child is practicing self-harm, it's important that you reach out to your school counselor for support, as well as call 211 if this is happening at home. Isolation. We talked about this earlier in our presentation. If you notice that your child is isolating themselves from their friend group, not wanting to leave their bed, it's really difficult to even get them out of the house, even on the weekends, to go for a quick walk. They're really starting to isolate themselves in their room and from their peers. Violence. Aggressive behavior. So that could be throwing things around the room, aggressive to themselves, maybe hitting themselves, punching a wall. At every level, your child deals with their coping skills differently, and you might see negative coping skills at different times throughout their levels of stress that they deal with. Please keep in mind that when you see these negative coping skills, to really reinforce the positive coping skills we spoke about earlier.
So what can you do to help manage your child's stress? So there's a few different things. The first is to listen openly to your child's concerns and feelings. So we want to prioritize open communication with your child so they feel comfortable sharing and discussing their stress with you. Here, we really want to emphasize the importance of validating that your child is stressed, because their stress is their own as they're experiencing it. The second is to teach time management skills, and this is something that we do a lot in the counseling suite. So going over basic ways to manage tasks can be very helpful for your child. So this can be making to-do lists, writing in a planner, or breaking a larger project into smaller parts. This strategy really will help prevent kids from getting too overwhelmed, because they can plan out when they're going to do assignments and complete homework, as opposed to waiting too late in the night and having to do it at bedtime. The third is do not try to solve your teen's problems. And we know that this one is a hard one, because we all naturally go to giving advice. And as a parent, it's also going to be difficult to see your child under stress. You naturally want to help. Instead of trying to solve the problem for them, work with your child to brainstorm solutions. This teaches your child how to tackle stressful situations on their own. And it's a really important skill. It's a really important skill for kids to learn at this age.
Next up, we're going to look at the different stress levels that your child may face throughout the middle, elementary, and high school years.
So here's a handy chart showing the different levels of stress. So there is such a thing as too little stress. So these students may not care as much about their grades, and we want them to care a little bit more and put a little more effort in. The optimal level of stress is where students are caring about their grades and their mental health, but they're not perfectionists about it. So they don't have excessive worry, but they still care. The next is too much stress and they're feeling overload. And this can cause fatigue and exhaustion. More so again, this would be a physical sign that they're overtired and overwhelmed. So in this section, your student may be a perfectionist and excessively worrying about not getting all A+. Now in the last section is the burnout. So this can present as anxiety, panic, anger, having mental breakdowns or meltdowns, and we want to avoid this. So we're going to talk about this in a minute, but this is really like having a mental breakdown over a small problem that should have been a little more easy to solve. So we're going to talk about the levels of when kids can solve their own problems in a minute.
So what can we do at each level? So say your child is at the point where it's too little stress. Talk about the importance of grades and being proactive and utilizing their ASA time. So this is really a great strategy to use at home with your child, checking their Power School, clicking on each grade, seeing how they did on their assignments, and making sure they're up to date with assignments. Using Google Classroom really as a tool. There's a to-do list on Google Classroom that you can review with your child and make sure that they're up to date with assignments. Using ASA as a time to advocate for themselves. They can request to meet with their teachers for extra support and use that time to really get the extra time and support that they need from their school counselor as well. Too much stress, so feeling an overload. Encourage your child to utilize positive coping skills. Model healthy coping skills at home. And have your child connect with their school counselor. So it's really important that if for you, when you're feeling stressed, you do deep breathing at home, that you model that for your child so that they know that that is one way that you cope with stress and they can see a healthy way that's modeled for them. I know here at school, we really focus on executive functioning, and by that we make to-do lists for students, we focus on what's coming up for the next week and how we could tackle the workload so that children do not feel stressed in the school environment. That is why it's important that if your child is feeling very stressed at home and you are practicing these healthy coping skills, that you connect with the school counselor so that we can build that partnership between home and school so that your child feels supported in all areas of their life. And lastly, we have the burnout, the anxiety, the panic, the anger, and the meltdown. It's important that you access community resources. We have a list of community resources that we recommend in the Milford area, and we could always provide you with that list. You can partner with your school. If stress is at this point, it's imperative that your child sees their school counselor or an outside therapist. As school counselors, we do connect with outside therapists as well, so that we are making sure that the skills that they're working on in therapy is also being worked on in the school setting. And if your child is showing severe signs of stress at home, such as hurting themselves or hurting someone else, it is important that you call 211. 211 is a great resource for all parents and students. This is a mobile crisis center that will come directly to your home. They will provide you with support, help you get into outside counseling, and also make sure that your child is safe to be home or to return back to school. We can't stress how important it is that if your child is in the burnout stage, that you do connect with the school and outside partnerships such as 211. Because at the end of the day, we care about every single student in our school community and we want to make sure everyone is safe. Another great helpful tool for parents, students, and guardians are How Big Is My Problem chart. This is a great tool that you can use at home or that your children can access in the school building. At the middle school level, we go into classrooms as school counselors and review how big is my problem. And this is used so that students know what level of stress they're at and when they need to ask an adult for support. We go over the stages such as a glitch, which is something as simple as forgetting their Chromebook and forgetting a pencil for school. Something as big as an emergency, where it could be a serious injury, where someone might be feeling angry and fatigued. At every stage, there's ways that students can solve their problems on their own, or there's ways that you can connect with a school counselor or an adult in the building.
Now, most importantly, we just want to remind you that you are not alone. We're here to support you and your child, so please do not hesitate to reach out to us at any time, and we'll get back to you. This is a true partnership and want to collaborate with you to help your child.
If you are unsure of who your school counselor is at your building level, please make sure that you reach out to your administration or look on our Milford Public Schools website. Say hello to your school counselors. Make sure that they know that as a parent, if you're concerned about your child, we're here to help you. We appreciate your time today and listening to our presentation, and please know you can reach out anytime, and hope you have a great and wonderful holiday season.